Let the assembly say, praise Yahweh.
Praise Yahweh.
At this time, Israel, I simply ask that we all rise as we open the incoming of our Shabbat in prayer. Abba Yahweh, we come before you ever so humbly on this seventh day Shabbat, thanking you for giving us this solemn day of rest, Father Yahweh, a day of rest whereby we can take a break from all of the evil and all of the nonsense and the wickedness that we have to do battle with in the world on a daily basis, simply for sake of striving to survive in this world, Father Yahweh. We thank you for this day of rest whereby we can cease from our labors and give all praise, honor, and glory unto you in your Kodesh name, in the name of your Son, Yahshua HaMashiach. Father Yahweh, we thank you for bringing us to this point free from all manners of hurt, harm, and danger. We thank you for your protecting angels that you continually placed around us from last Shabbat even unto this very moment. And we ask that you please continually place those same angels of protection around us along with angels of war. Angels to fight for us, Father Yahweh. Angels that will heal us. Angels that will lead us and guide us and keep us free from harm, Father. And we ask also that you place within us a mind to seek after your Ruach HaKodesh, and also fill us with your Ruach HaKodesh after striving to receive it. We beg of you in these latter days, draw us closer and closer unto you as the world draws closer and closer unto its end, and as the people draw closer and closer unto their Father, Hashatan. We ask that you keep us wrapped in the hollow of your hand, protect us from all of the wiles of the devil. Give us over to none of his evil, wicked devices, but instead give over his children into the traps and the snares in which they set for the souls of your people. Don't let us be overtaken. Don't let us be desirous of the wicked ways of our oppressors. Don't let us be covetous of any of this world's goods or riches. But if anything, Father Yahweh, allow us to covet after the fruits of the Ruach HaKodesh, as well as your kingdom to come, Abba Yahweh. And we beg of you also a special prayer for those of your people that may be sick in this very hour, whether in the body or troubled in the mind, as well as those that are even gathered in the house of mourning, those who are mourning the loss of loved ones at this very hour. We ask that you comfort them, and in the time frame and the season in which you see fit, restore to a greater state of health those that are sick, as well as restore to a greater state of joy those that are currently mourning, Abba Yahweh. These blessings we ask of you ever so humbly in the awesome, powerful, Kodesh name of your Son, Yahshua HaMashiach, we pray. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
House of Israel, you may be seated. It's with great honor and pleasure that I stand here before you all to enjoy yet another Sabbath evening with you all here presently, live in 6515 Hartford Road, as well as also it's a wonderful pleasure and privilege to be here with you all that are joining us by way of the live stream as well. No matter what part of the country of the United States or what part of the world you're joining us from, we welcome you to the Sabbath evening service with the House of Israel. I want to open by reading from the book of Tehillim. I want to read from the book of Tehillim, chapter 35. Plead my cause, O Yahweh, with them that strive with me. Fight against them that fight against me. Take hold of shield and buckler. Stand up for my help, and draw out also the spear, and stop the way against them that persecute me. Say unto my soul, I am your Yahshua. And let them be confounded and put to shame that seek after my soul. Let them be turned back, brought to confusion that devise my hurt. Let them be as the chaff before the wind, and let your angel chase them. Let their way be dark and slippery, and let the angel of Yahweh persecute them. For without a cause have they hid for me their net in a pit, which without a cause they dug for my soul. Let destruction come upon them at unawares, and let his net that he has hid catch himself, and into that very destruction let him fall. And my soul shall be joyful in Yahweh. It shall rejoice in his Yahshua. All my bones shall say, Yahweh, who is like unto you, which delivers the poor from him that is too strong for him? Yea, the poor and the needy from him that spoils them. False witnesses have risen up. They laid to my charge things that I knew not. They rewarded me evil for good, to the spoiling of my soul. But as for me, when they were sick, my clothing was sackcloth, and I humbled my soul with fasting, and my prayer returned into my own bosom. I behaved myself as though he had been my friend or brother, and I bowed down heavily as one that mourns for his mother. But in my adversity, they rejoiced, and they gathered themselves together. Yea, the abjects gathered together against me, and I knew it not. And they did tear me, and they ceased not. Like hypocritical mockers in feasts, they gnashed upon me with their teeth. Yahweh, how long will you look on? Rescue my soul from their destructions, my darling from the lions. I will give you thanks, or Todah, in the great congregation, and I will praise you among many people. And let not them that are my enemies wrongfully rejoice over me, and neither let them wink with their eye that hate me without a cause. For they speak not peace, but they devise deceitful matters against them that are quiet in the land. Yea, they opened their mouth wide against me, and they said, Aha, aha, our eye has seen it. This you have seen, O Yahweh. Keep not silence, O Yahweh. Be not far from me. Stir up yourself and awake to my judgment, even unto my cause, my Elohim and my salvation. Judge me, O Yahweh, my Elohim, according to your righteousness, and let them not rejoice over me, and let them not say in their hearts, Ah, so would we have it. And let them not say, We've swallowed them up. And let them be ashamed and brought to confusion together that rejoice in my hurt. And let them be clothed with shame and dishonor that magnify themselves against me. Let them shout for joy and be glad that favor my righteous cause. Yea, let them say continually, Let Yahweh be magnified, which has pleasure in the prosperity of his Ebed, or his servant. And my tongue shall speak of your righteousness and of your praise all the day long. Hallelujah. And may Almighty Yahweh continually keep his praise on your lips, but yet at the same time, may he also give you the words to know how to pray psalms of imprecation against your own adversaries in the times in which they come to afflict you, in the times in which they come to fight against you. May Almighty Yahweh keep his words in your mouth and shape your prayers so as to shake your enemies from the top of their heads to the soles of their feet, even down to the core foundation of their evil, wicked souls. Israel, this evening's message, we're going to pick up on part 2 from where I was 2 weeks ago. Spiritual wickedness in high and low places. This evening's message is part 2. We last addressed the message. We talked about the wickedness of the rulers. We talked about the wickedness of the people that you would encounter in your local forms of government, as well as the people that you would encounter on your jobs and possibly in your neighborhoods. But as we go into part 2 of this message, we're going to also talk this evening about the damage and effects of spiritual wickedness and the havoc that it wreaks on the body, as well as on the mind and the psyche. And what it will ultimately lead up to is the destruction of one's soul. If left unchecked, if the sins are unrepented for, and if an individual never acknowledges their fault and their failures and their wrongdoing, the only thing that they can expect is the ultimate damnation and destruction of their souls. But let's go right into the 6th chapter of the book of Ephesians. Got to go back to that full armor of Almighty Yahweh. You know, we read it and we opened up with that last time for part 1. It's only right that we pick up for anybody who's watching this message that may not have seen part 1. Let's go right here into Ephesians chapter 6, starting at verse 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in Yahweh and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of Yahweh, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of Shaitan. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, or for this cause, or because of this, take unto you the whole armor of Yahweh, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the glad tidings of Shalom. And above all, take the shield of faith, wherewith you should be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. And take the helmet of Yahshua, or the helmet of salvation. That's your covering. The males and the females, that is your head. That is your covering there. Yahshua HaMashiach. And the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of Yahweh. See, people get obsessed with the guns, the bombs, the knives, even those who've mastered the chemical and the biological warfare. People look to all of those different things. Meanwhile, some of the poor people of the world, the most they can do is just throw up their dukes and punch a person in the mouth or knock a person out or what have you. But none of those weapons in any way, shape, or form compare to the weapons that Almighty Yahweh equipped his people, Israel, with. The weapons that he equipped Israel with quench as well as suppress the damage and the impact of every weapon that Hashatan has equipped his children with to try to bring about the destruction of Israel. And the operative word there, try, because that's the most they can do. As much as they hate you, as much as they despise you, as much as they work to bring about your ultimate demise, the most they can do is try to bring about your destruction. And Yahshua HaMashiach told you plainly not to even fear them. He told you plainly, fear not them that are able to destroy the body, and afterwards have nothing left to do. But fear him who is able to destroy both body and soul and cast them into hell. This whole arm of Yahweh, this is what you need in this world as you wage war continually on a day-to-day basis. You ever sit back and you get to talk with soldiers who've been to, no matter what war they've been to, whether it's the Korean War, whether it's the Persian Gulf War, the first time the United States went into Iraq when Saddam Hussein was alive, or whether it's Afghanistan or Pakistan, or even if you were able to talk to somebody who's still alive who can tell you about Vietnam or the Second World War, or rather shall I say America and Europe's war on the world, because you ain't seen a true world war yet. But if you can talk to any veterans, they'll tell you about the chaos, and they'll tell you about the psychological impact that being in a constant atmosphere where at any given moment you could possibly be shot, or you could possibly die in an explosion, or you're constantly under attack. It takes a toll on an individual, and you don't just come home and just shake off any kind of way the impact of being in such an environment. And it's the same thing on the spiritual plane. You see, sometimes they will make mockery of the veterans in those movies, the people who come home with post-traumatic stress disorder, fire in the hole. The people that just jump out of the blue and just duck down because something triggered a memory and caused a reaction to where everybody else like, fire in the hole. What's wrong with Uncle Larry? What are they doing? Something set the man off to the point where it took him back in time where he was under attack and now he's fighting for his life. Now it's the same thing with Israel on a spiritual scale. There are things that you go through, you're in a constant state of attack all the time. Whether it's not Yahweh's feast days, whether it's during the time of Yahweh's feast days, during the time of the heathens' festivals, during the time of the end of the heathens' festivals, you don't get a break whatsoever being Israel. Coming to the knowledge of the truth, you can be out in the world, you can be a partaker of all of the wickedness, but they come to fight you on every side. Once you come to the knowledge of the truth, you partaking in the wickedness, they are all right with you. As soon as you leave and depart from the wickedness to come to the knowledge of the truth, that's when the fights start. That's when the lies begin. That's when the defamation of your character begins. That's where sometimes people will even try to physically malign your character as well as physically beat you and so much other things that will disrespect you, and it'll all take a toll on you physically as well as mentally, spiritually, and over time, if it's not properly addressed with prayer and intercession being made to Almighty Yahweh, that stuff will tear your body apart. You walking around, you harboring feelings of uncertainty. You harboring feelings of doubt because somebody hates you so much that they try to wear down your self-esteem, because ultimately they feel evil about themselves. They feel low. They feel less than. But the only way in which they can bring themselves up is to find somebody whom they're jealous of, or somebody who possesses a skill, a trait, or a characteristic that they lack. And they can beat down their confidence in themselves, then they themselves, they feel better. They feel uplifted. Tonight, we're going to talk about some of those things, some of those forms of spiritual wickedness. And not just in the high places, but this evening, we're going to talk about some of those things that go on in the low places. And by the low places, I'm talking beneath the heavens, talking down here in the earth. And also, by way of some of those low places, I'm also talking some of the things that take place in the person's mind, as well as the end result of all of that spiritual wickedness when it's harbored in one's mind and as it makes its way through one's body. Because whether a person knows it or not, or even cares to look into it, everything you do has a spiritual ramification behind it. It gives off a certain, what they would say, a certain vibration or a certain vibe. It has a certain level of energy behind it. And the energy, based upon what you're feeling as you emit it, It's transmitted unto somebody else, and it has an impact, whether it be negative or positive. It's all based upon the spirit in which a thing is done or said in. A person could say something to you, it could be so hateful. It could be false, but it's just the spirit of hate and the spirit of deceit behind it. The person say it to you. It hit you like a jab from Mike Tyson or an uppercut from Bernard Hopkins to the ribs. And it's, ooh, wow, oh man, he said that about me. Man, well, make him say that. And you know it's a lie. But yet at the same time, just the simple fact that the lie came out of the blue from somebody you wasn't expecting it to come from. Now it hurts. Now you thinking about it. Now you walking around with this in your mind. Now it's troubling you. Now it's keeping you up. Now it's starting to take a toll on you because you're thinking things like, how many people believe this? How many other people have heard this? Who else has had something to say in regards to it? All of those things take a toll on you. But this is why the whole arm of Yahweh, it equips you. It covers the entire body. It covers you from head to toe and allows you to be able to deflect all of that nonsense. And there's certain things that even in the Torah, people don't want to go back and look at these things for what they were, but even the Torah, all throughout the Torah, Israel was commanded to refrain from certain activities, to not allow certain people who indulged in certain things to live or to continue on, because the spirit behind what they were into, if left unchecked, it would go on and it would spread and it would wreak havoc throughout the congregation. You see all throughout the word, they commanded to not suffer a witch to live. He commanded to not deal with them who have those familiar spirits, those necromancers, those charmers and everything else, because that type of wickedness, if allowed to go on unchecked, those familiar spirits would hover around from one vessel to another. The person who was possessed by it, they would die off. The spirit would go on and transfer itself from one vessel to the vessel of the following generation. This is why he was commanded to not allow those types of people to live. You go here into the 22nd chapter of the book of Exodus. Yahweh commands Israel, you shall not suffer a witch to live. They sit back, they work all kinds of witchcraft on people. They throw down the bones, they read the roots, they cut animals open, they pull out the intestines and the entrails, and they read all of those different things, trying to gauge the future. They go around, they grab hair follicles from people, they work roots and other forms of witchcraft on people. They go along and they take the blood from the menstrual cycle and they infuse it into food and feed it to people, whereby to work love rituals and other forms of witchcraft on people. And all of this stuff, these are just physical acts, but yet the acts themselves transcend the physical and go into the spiritual. But just them possessing that type of knowledge and being able to not only enact it, but impart it unto another generation. This is why Israel was commanded to not suffer these types of individuals to live. Because these evil, filthy, vile, wicked people that we have in the world today, if left unchecked, they'd wreck all of humanity. They'd wreck all of God's creation. We go on back here into the book of Leviticus in chapter 19. We see also where we commanded as Yahweh's people to regard not, Leviticus 19:31. Regard not them that have those familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. For I am Yahweh, your Elohim. People look back today, they want to run to the psychics, they want to run to the mediums and everything to see what's going on in their lives and what's going to happen in their lives, thinking that they're going to head off anything that Yahweh might have in store for them by changing their course or what have you. But Yahweh didn't command that. Yahweh ordained nothing of the like. And he commanded them to not even so much as seek after them. But if you want to seek anything, you want to change the course in your life, go and seek Almighty Yahweh. Seek his Ruach HaKodesh. Seek those that are filled with his spirit, who stand in his counsel. Seek them. You want to change the course of your direction? You do that. Don't seek those mediums. I had a friend of mine years ago, a brother by the name of Xavier. Nicknamed him Shrimp because out of all of us that went in the same school in the same neighborhood, he was the smallest. So Shrimp wanted to go and see a psychic one day. We just happened to be in the inner harbor of Baltimore, and there was this woman with these little tarot cards and everything else. So he wanted to go see the psychic, thinking he was going to go and get some good news or something of that nature. He said, come on, man. Come on, let's go with me. I go, hell no. I ain't got nothing to do with that. Oh, nah, you go see her. You on your own. I'm not going. No, man, come on, man. I'll pay for your reading. So I don't need you to pay for my reading. I got plenty of money. I got just as much money as you think you got. I got enough to pay her little fee, but damn that. So he goes on off, looking at him from a distance. He talked with the little woman. Little woman let him know straight out the gate, all right, I'm charging X amount of money. So he trying to talk the woman down out of her price. So the little woman, I'm charging X amount of money. So he shell out the money. The woman, give me your hand. So he put his hand out. The little woman get to read his palm. Next thing you know, you see him draw back, looking from a distance. So I ain't going nowhere near, but I'm gonna wait because we all came down here together, so we going back home together. So eventually he gonna have to tell what that lady told him. So we're going on up the way back to the neighborhood. Shrimp, what that lady say to you? Huh? What? It's that lady, the psychic. You wanted to see. What she tell you? Oh no, man, I'm not. Man, she ain't say nothing all that serious. I said, no, what she say? No, I'm just saying, it wasn't nothing serious. You wanted to go see her so bad because you thought she was going to tell you something and it was going to be something good, but you ain't never tell us. We've been down here almost 2 hours since you seen that woman. What'd she say? So he waited till everybody that was with us left. It was just me and him. Man, she told me that I think I'm a ladies' man and I think I'm a player, but I need to calm down with all the people that I'm having sex with because ultimately I'm going to get a disease and I'm going to get somebody pregnant. I said, oh, really? That's what she told you? She told you a whore. No. She didn't say I was a whore. She told me calm down with all the people I was sleeping with. And she told me to be cool before I get a disease. And she told me I'm going to get somebody pregnant. And sure enough, I went out, did just as the little lady told him. And as the little woman told him, you could see the look of disdain and the look of disbelief and shock, coupled with anger in his face as the little woman was reading him his fortune. I couldn't hear what she was saying to him, but at a distance, I could see him with his arm out. He was excited. Then his whole countenance changed. Then he turned and walked away. And inside of 2.5 years, babies just start popping up. I was thinking, little lady told you right. But refusing to even so much as hear the counsel and scripture. People hear that stuff today. No, that's all right. No. It'll be all right. It ain't no harm. It ain't nothing gonna come of it. But Yahweh told his people to not even resort to those people. And if you don't get a great example of disobedience to this, then Shaul wanted to know when the prophet Samuel withdrew from him. He wanted to know what his end result would be, what his fate would be, the outcome of this particular battle that Israel was in. So he went to the witch at Endor. Now imagine that. Imagine the dictator of the day, a leader of the day. Imagine Donald Trump outlawing something. But then at the same time, he goes to utilize the services of the very thing that he outlawed. This is what Shaul went and did with the witch at Endor. All of the mediums, the psychics, and those who handled the familiar spirits, the necromancers, and all of that at that time being put to death at his command. So then he goes and he creep off to go see the witch at Endor. And he has the witch summon the spirit of Samuel. The spirit of Samuel comes forth and asks him, why for have you summoned me? Hey, look, we at battle, we at war, there's battle, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 trying to see what the end result is going to be, what's going to happen. Spirit of Samuel lets him know, by this time tomorrow, you and your sons will be with me. Yahweh told him, see? Now, that's why you told and commanded to not even so much as deal with those types of things. Then you open up all kinds of portals and subject yourself to demonic possession. And you also subject your generations to follow to that same evil, wicked spiritual condition. Even in the event you don't deal with a witch, a wizard, or a warlock, or anything of that nature, everything that you do has a spiritual consequence behind it, has a spiritual ramification behind it. So if you're going to subject your children to anything based upon your activities and what you would do, the wisest thing you could do is to subject them to being filled with the Ruach HaKodesh. People going off, they'll have adulterous affairs, they'll indulge in alcohol to the point where the alcohol becomes a lifestyle for them. They'll go off, they'll use drugs, they'll become addicted to these different things, and then they'll go on off and they'll procreate. They'll either get pregnant or get someone pregnant while doing this same thing, and then in turn, the children come out. You wondering why this one moves a little slower, or why this one gets angry or more irritable than most children in his age group. But the child doesn't know. They're actually going through withdrawals. They don't know why they have these temper tantrums or why they're spazzing out. They don't know. But yet at the same time, the spirit within them knows what you did, especially if it's the mother that's indulging in the wicked activities. This is why Yahweh told us to refrain from those who have those familiar spirits as well. We go here into the book of Leviticus, chapter 20. Start here this first verse. And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying, Again, you shall say to the children of Israel, whosoever he be of the children of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourn in Israel, that gives any of his seed unto Molech, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. Now today, you got people all over America fighting for the right to give their children unto Molech. I never thought in my lifetime I'd be alive and be able to live to see parents fight for the right to murder their children. That's what the whole debate is about as far as abortion. That's all it's about. Child sacrifices. Today they come on out, they want to fight for all of the wicked things. Just as Brother Eric was saying earlier in the week, every time the election season or the election cycle starts, they come on along, key points that they all fight from for both sides. The Republicans, as Brother Eric says, I'm paraphrasing him, but he says the Republicans, they come out, their whole thing is, oh man, they trying to take away our guns. They want to take our guns from us. They don't want us to be able to have guns, to be able to go out and shoot people. And then he says the Democrats, oh man, the Republicans, man, they trying to fight. They're trying to prevent us from having homosexual sex. They're trying to fight to keep us from being able to kill our children from these sexual acts that we don't want. They're trying to keep us from doing it. They don't want us to be able to go out and just be homosexuals and to kill the babies. That's what they're fighting to keep us from. We need to have these rights. And on the other side of the aisle, yeah, we need to be able to just go out and freely shoot people at our own discretion. But they over there trying to fight to keep us from it. But that's what the whole beef is with the abortion. And Yahweh allowed Israel to have it ingrained in their law to stay from such a practice. And he said that anybody who was to indulge in such should be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. And I will set my face against that man, and I will cut him off from among his people, because he's given up his seed unto Molech to defile my sanctuary, and to profane my Kodesh name. And if the people of the land, they do in any ways hide their eyes from that man, when he gives up his seed to Molech and kill him not, then will I set my face against that man and against his family, and will cut him off, and all that go a-whoring after him to commit whoredom with Molech from among their people. And the soul that turns after such as have familiar spirits, and after wizards to go a-whoring after them, I will even set my face against that soul, and will cut him off from amongst his people. So you see how sometimes the wickedness of you yourself as an adult or as a parent or as a grandparent can spill over into the generations to follow. And that's selfish. You going off in wickedness and you know it's against the Torah. And you continue on. And the people who sit back and turn a blind eye or a deaf ear to your wickedness, they themselves also bring the same condemnation and punishment unto themselves, as well as the children that follow behind them. This is what we talk about. We talk about spiritual wickedness in the high and the low places. See, these types of things, now you bring this stuff upon your seed. You bring this stuff, these curses upon your children while they are in your loins, before the conception or the act of conception even takes place in some instances. People just live such wicked lives, so much so to the point that before they even have children, their fate, punishment, already sealed. And it spills on over to the following generations. This is what we mean when we say spiritual wickedness in high and low places. Because ultimately, just as obedience unto Almighty Yahweh has its benefits, obedience unto Shaitan also has its detriments. You obey Almighty Yahweh, you obey his dietary laws, you obey them, you have good health, as the book of Proverbs says unto us, and Yahweh's law and his word will be health unto our navel and marrow unto our bones. Yahweh said in another place that he would beautify the meek with salvation. The wicked, they going on off today. They want to beautify themselves with Lancome, Sephora, L'Oreal, and Maybelline, and all this other makeup that in many instances is made from animal feces and all sorts of other garbage. And the people smack it on their faces, the rouge, the foundation, the eyeliner, and all of that nonsense to try and beautify themselves. But in turn, you're just as Yahshua HaMashiach said concerning the wicked. They're just whited sepulchres, the graves. You make the outside look great, lavish, but inside, just full of dead men's bones. And that's the wicked of the world today. They feel so decrepit. They feel so deplorable internally. The most they can do is try to offer you a great presentation externally. They make the body look nice. They make themselves look great on the outside. But inwardly, throw some water in their face, strip the clothes off of them, get to talking with them and conversing. Sure enough, you learn just how piss poor they feel about themselves, as well as how worthless they really are. But Yahweh said he will beautify us, the meek, his people, with salvation. In spiritual wickedness in high places as well as low places, we complete chaos on the body. Let's go on a little bit further. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the spirits that take hold of people and possess people in times past as well as in times today. You look up, you can see sometimes people just sheer crazy, completely out of their mind, just possessed with hatred, jealousy, envy, all of those things. You look at the individuals that get possessed by them. You get to observe them for any great length of time. If you're looking not just on the carnal, but with the spiritual eye as well, you'll see their gradual decay. You'll see their decline. Just like communities in the city that are deprived of resources over time. You can see communities flourishing in one decade. But as time progresses and resources are stripped from that community and resources are withheld and kept back from those communities, you see what used to be formerly flourishing communities and neighborhoods gradually begin to decay and erode. A few abandoned houses here and there, a few young men standing around on the corners here and there. Then over time, those few abandoned houses turn into whole blocks, whole segments of the street torn down completely. When you look up and you see those few men standing on the corner, become blocks and blocks and blocks of young men stealing drugs, breaking in cars, and all sorts of things out of economic necessity and sheer wickedness. And it's the same thing with people's body that are possessed by evil spirits. You watch a person that hates you. You watch a person that's jealous of you, or just jealous or full of hatred in general. And over time, you see them. They'll do things that let you know that they're not in their right mind, or they're not in control of their mind, and it's a different spirit in that vessel. We're going to go into some of those things this evening as we sit back and as we discuss things like the hatred that Jezebel had for Elijah the prophet after he embarrassed those prophets of Baal. You see, you sit back and you watch things like the hatred that Shaul felt for Dawid as a young man. Can you imagine that? You're the king. You're the first king of a nation that was going to have Almighty Yahweh dwell in their midst. But the nation, they wanted to be like all of the surrounding nations. So in turn, they suggested and they kept on jumping and bucking and troubling the prophet of Yahweh to go on to Yahweh. So in turn, Yahweh gave the people what they wanted. Gave them a king. So in turn, the king, eventually given over to corruption, he rises up, does the things that Yahweh commands him not to do. So in turn, Yahweh has a replacement sitting there in his wing. And his replacement, young man, musician, as well as a shepherd. But in turn, the whole nation being troubled by a terrorist. God called Goliath what he was. He was a terrorist. He was going around punking the entire nation of Israel. And all of the mighty men of war, all of the men of valor, their strength was gone. And here it is, what they would call today a hopper. A little young dude come along. A whole lot of heart. More heart than he had size, by what the world would say today. But he had faith and confidence in Almighty Yahweh. And he knew what Yahweh would allow him to do. And he stood up. But the jealousy within the king tried to talk the brother down. Try to talk him down. What you gonna do? You're just a youth. And this giant, he's a man of war from his youth. So in other words, hey, what you gonna do? You're just a baby. He been out fighting and killing and terrorizing since he was a baby. What you gonna do? That's how people do you today in the world. You sit back, you bold, you believe in Almighty Yahweh, you have your confidence rooted and grounded in Almighty Yahweh. Somebody else who's not as sure of their faith in Almighty Yahweh as you are, or don't believe as firmly in Yahweh as you do, they'll try and talk you down. Well, he ain't working no miracles today. He ain't speaking to nobody today. He ain't got that type of relationship with people today. He stopped talking to people. No, he just stopped talking to you. Or to go even further, he may have never spoken to you. And that's how people do you today. Let's go in here. Let's go into the book of Samuel, 1 Samuel. We're going to read up on the time frame wherein King David, before he was even king, stood up on behalf of all of Israel and brought peace to the nation. So there's an interesting parallel between the first book of Samuel and the 6th chapter of the book of Ephesians. As you read in the 6th chapter of Ephesians, chapter 10 through verses 17, you see it's the apostle Shaul that's giving Israel the whole armor. He's instructing you to take on the whole armor of Almighty Yahweh. But you see that same parallel jump out at you as we read about King David and his battle, just as he was preparing to go and fight Goliath. Because just as King Shaul had to take off his armor to give to David, or the beloved, so he could go and fight Goliath, the apostle Shaul in the New Testament gives Yahweh's beloved the whole armor that they needed to go on off and fight several Goliaths on a day-to-day basis. But let's go in here to 1 Samuel chapter 16. Right here, we're going to go right here to where Samuel is being anointed. Where David is being anointed. So then Samuel took the horn of oil and he anointed him, being David, in the midst of his brethren. And the Spirit of Yahweh came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. But the Spirit of Yahweh departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from Yahweh troubled him. And Saul's servant said unto him, Behold now, evil spirit from Yahweh troubles you. Let the king now command your servants which are before you to seek out a man who is a cunning player on a harp. And it shall come to pass, when the evil spirit from Yahweh is upon you, that he shall play with his hand, and you shall be well. As the saying goes in the world, music soothes the savage beasts. So one man is being anointed to be king over Israel in the stead of the current king. And at the same time, the current king is now being troubled by an evil spirit, the spirit that Yahweh allowed to rest upon him. And the only thing that could soothe him was the music made by a particular young man in Israel. And Shaul said unto his servants, Provide me now a man that can play well, and bring him unto me. Whenever, go get somebody that's skilled. Go get me a good musician. Don't bring nobody half-handed or unskilled that ain't really sure enough. Give me somebody that knows what they're doing. Brother Andre, you keep plucking at that bass. You stick with it. Yahweh willing, in due time, you too rise up to be a man, skilled, a cunning player on your instrument as well. So you stick with that guitar. King David played the harp as well. King David had, how can you say it? He was multi-talented. He was multifaceted. He could do many things. You yourself, you can do many things through Yahshua HaMashiach, who strengthens you and enables you to do those things. So you too, little brother, you stick with your guitar. You stick with that bass. One day I look forward to seeing you here in the temple in the house of Yahweh, playing, giving us music. You stick with it. But then I answered one of the servants and said, Behold, I've seen a son of Jesse, the Bethlehemite, that is a cunning player, and a mighty valiant man, and a man of war, and prudent in matters, and a comely person. And Yahweh is with him. See all these different traits? I just told you how King David was multifaceted. He was multi-talented. And here it is, the brother just laid it out. All of the things that he can do. He's a man of mighty and a valiant man of war. prudent in matters, and he's a comely person. Say comely, beautiful, attractive, not just in the physical sense, but in an overall sense of pleasantness to be around. And Yahweh was with him. It says, wherefore Shaul sent messengers unto Jesse, and said, send me Dawid, your son, which is with the sheep. And Jesse took an ass laden with bread, and a bottle of wine, and a kid, and sent them by Dawid his son unto Shaul. And Dawid came to Shaul, and stood before him, and he loved him greatly, and he became his armor bearer. So now he's carrying his armor for him now. But he was originally just sent there just for sake of playing the music that would soothe the man's spirits. But he looked upon him, and he saw so much in him. Saw so much potential. Hey, no, bring him over here. Now I got something greater for him, something better for him to do. You see people do that today. They'll be older people. You'll see them. They'll see a younger person that may have more potential than what they may have had at that particular age in life, and subtly they'll resent it, but yet simultaneously they'll profess to admire it. But at the same time, the resentment coupled with admiration, it mixes and it makes a desire to control that which they see in somebody else younger than them. So they quote unquote want to get you under their wing. They want to have you under them. They want to show you off, and they want to parade you around. They want to have it as if almost like the brothers do their dogs today in the street. The brothers get nice pit bulls or what have you. They train them. They can't afford the treadmills or what have you, so they might take them and jog them through the city on their bikes. They get them, they buff them up or what have you, put them in a couple fights. They parade them around. That's what people try to do to you today. When they see talents and skills in you that Yahweh hasn't placed in them, they want to get you under their wing because now they feel like they got something to teach you or something to impart to you. But again, I said, it's all an attempt to just control or to manage your skill set. But then when you buck, that's when the trouble starts. When you get hip to the games and you see through the nonsense, then suddenly they don't like you no more. They don't like you as much. Suddenly they find all these faults and all these failures and everything is wrong with you. 3 instances in life, and I'm not saying these are the only 3 instances, but these are 3 primary instances. You ever get in a situation with a person and you're dying to know how they feel about you or what they think of you, go through any of these 3 instances and you will definitely find out. You let a person get mad at you. Tell a person no. Or you let a person get drunk. Or you really want to cut ties with a person or see if a person will cut ties with you or how they feel about you. Be in a predicament with them where they feel as though they no longer need you or you're no longer of a service to them. Then you will really learn how they feel about you. But all the while, as long as you were going along with the game, as long as you were doing whatever it was that they wanted, you were at their beck and call, they loved you to death. But all the while, they harboring this jealousy and this hatred and this contention for you. Hated you, they despised you, but they professed to love you as long as they appeared to be in control of you. And the way it goes with most people, when they can't control you, the next best thing they need to do is control the way in which others see you. Now let's go on here a little bit further as we get into the spirit of competition that rides some people. And Shaul sent to Jesse saying, let Dawid, I pray you, stand before me, for he has found favor in my sight. Now, come on, let him come stay with me. Let me take him under my wing. Let him hang out with me. And it came to pass when the evil spirit from Yahweh was upon Shaul, that Dawid took a harp and he played with his hand. So Shaul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him. But we jump on down here a little bit further. Now we get into this 18th chapter where we see that after Dawid fights Goliath and he goes out to battle, people sing his praise. But it's real interesting what takes place during the fight with Goliath. Now let's go here, before I go to chapter 18, let's go on into the 17th chapter momentarily. Now this is Dawid talking to Shaul as well as the rest of Israel concerning Goliath. And Dawid says to Saul in 1732, still in 1 Samuel 1732, and Dawid says to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. Your servant will go and fight with this Philistine. And Shaul said to Dawid, you're not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, but you are but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. So, but man, you ain't going to go out there and fight with him. Come on. He's just a baby. You a youngin'. He been fighting and killing since he was young. What you gonna do? Just how people do you today. You have the boldness and confidence to stand up and to do things that Almighty Yahweh may have instructed you to do. And other people possessed by the spirit of doubt, as well as with the spirit of hatred, the spirit of jealousy. Oh no, you can't do that. Come on, no, that's not you. Come on. You can't put your hand on nobody, pray for them and heal them. No, come on, now you can't do that. Ain't nobody anointing nobody, healing them, casting no sickness out of them. You better take him to the doctor and get him some Tylenol or some Midol. It's the type of stuff that you had to deal with by people who are possessed by the spirit of jealousy. And you cannot let anybody sit on your talent. So that's what people will try to do. They'll try to sit on your talent to suppress you because they see. Sometimes people can look at you and can see more than what you might be able to see on yourself. Sometimes a person can look at you, especially when they're possessed by evil spirits like hatred, malice, and envy. They can see more on you than what you might even be aware that Yahweh is capable of allowing you to do. Sometimes they see it before you do. And their ultimate goal, they can't have you outdo them. They can't have you outshine them. They can't have you surpass them, especially if you're in a situation where there's a generational or age difference or what have you, and a person might be older and they may have passed their prime in life, where those good old days where they were young and flourishing has passed. Strength is starting to abate. So now they see the younger lions coming up now, and they hate it, they despise it. So they'll try to dampen or try to weaken the talent that Almighty Yahweh has given an individual before they can even fully exercise it and flourish in it. But yet they want to assert their supremacy and their superiority at the same time. And Dawid says unto Saul, now I like this because Dawid speaks up. He talks back. A lot of times people will try to assert their position over you or their age or what have you. They'll try to assert that and just, yeah, I said this, that, and the other. That's it. That's all. But King Dawid, before he was even crowned king, he spoke up. He laid out his credentials as a man trying to suppress his talent and to suppress his ability to go forward and fight. King Dawid lays out his skill set. And Dawid says unto Saul, your servant has kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear and took a lamb out of the flock, and I went out after him, and I smote him and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and I smote him, and I slew him. Your servant took both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing that he has defied the armies of the living Elohim. See, people was amazed a few weeks back when the video of the little boxer, Habib Nurmagomedov, or however you say the man's name, the little MMA fighter, when the video was unleashed of him as a 9-year-old child wrestling with the bear over in Russia, people, oh man, wow, the child wrestling with a bear. That ain't nothing. Israel had history, and Israel has been doing that. Man wrestled with a bear. King Dawid let Shaul know, yeah, okay, a bear and a lion rose up, took a sheep from out of my father's flock, and I went and I got my daddy's stuff back. Killed the lion and the bear. And this Philistine gonna be just like them. And Dawid said, moreover, Yahweh has delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear. And he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Shaul said unto Dawid, go, and Yahweh be with you. Sometimes that's what you had to do to people. People trying to suppress your talent or trying to stifle the ability that Almighty Yahweh has given you to go and accomplish a certain task. When you see people trying to suppress that because they lack that ability and that's not their talent or their calling, you got to stand up. You got to check people like that. You got to let people know, because Almighty Yahweh hasn't allowed you to do it, don't mean he hasn't allowed somebody else to do that and more. You may be overwhelmed by the spirit of doubt and disbelief, but don't cast that off onto me. You have to push back. It's like being in a fight. You can't just take all the punches and get all the jabs and the hooks given to your body. No, you got to deflect some of that stuff and throw some yourself. So Shaul armed Dawid with his armor and put a helmet of brass upon his head. Also, he armed him with his coat of mail. And also, Dawid girded his sword upon his armor, and he essayed to go, for he had not proved it, And Dawid says unto Shaul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And Dawid put him off of him. See how, even as the man was getting ready to go fight, Shaul, realizing the confidence of the young man, had to take his own armor off and give it to this young man. Well, here, look, okay, you say you're capable of doing that. You put this on, you put that on you, and you take this, and you go. Just as King Shaul had to give Dawid his whole armor, Yahweh allowed it so as to equip us in the latter days by way of another Shaul to come on along. And just as King Shaul equipped Yahweh's beloved here with his armor, he allowed Shaul to come on along in the New Testament and equip us, Yahweh's beloved, in the latter days with the whole armor of Yahweh. But King Dawid, he put off Shaul's armor because he said he hadn't proved it. He wasn't skilled with it. Just like brothers today, they'll go on off. They'll learn to use firearms and training and everything. And the man may not like a particular firearm and how it feels in his hand. He might not be familiar with the mechanics of it, how it operates. So he might not be too enthused to carry that particular weapon. But when he gets a hold of a weapon that he's more familiar with, that's what he'll go with. This is what King Dawid did with Shaul's armor. Like, I haven't proved that. I haven't tried that. I haven't worked it out in this before. No, I can't take this. But the armor that the Apostle Shaul has given us with, the armor that he's given us to go out with, we have to put that on, and we have to prove that right there in the midst of the battle. We ourselves in this spiritual warfare, we can't afford to shuck off or to cast off the whole armor of Almighty Yahweh. Because unlike Dawid and Shaul's armor, we don't need to prove this. Yahweh's whole armor has already been proven. We prove Almighty Yahweh's whole armor as we put it on and we take it and go into the battle and we go forth and we conquer. And he took his staff in his hand and he chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook, and he put them in a shepherd's bag, which he had in him a strip, and his sling was in his hand. And he drew near to the Philistine. And the Philistine came on, and he drew near unto Dawid. And the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw Dawid, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, and ruddy, and of a fair countenance. And the Philistine says unto Dawid, Am I a dog that you come to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed Dawid by the name of his gods. And the Philistine said to Dawid, Come to me, and I'll give your flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field. In other words, come on, I'll kill you. I'll make you food for the birds and the beasts of the field. Then Dawid says to the Philistine, You come to me with the sword and with the spear and with the shield, but I come unto you in the name of Yahweh of Sabaoth, and the Elohim of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. Let them know, oh, you come on out with your swords and your spears and all of your fancy weapons. I'm coming in the name of Almighty Yahweh. And when you go forth to fight these demons in this world on a day-to-day basis, that's all you need. The boldness, the power, the confidence that Almighty Yahweh instills in you with the knowledge of his name and the truth and the confidence of his son, Yahshua HaMashiach. You can do battle with any and everything. If you just have faith, the grain of a mustard seed, you can endure all that they throw at you. See, the devil, he wants to weaken you. He wants to play psychological mind games. He'll sense your confidence, but he'll want to try and deflect it and try to instill in you a sense of fear, to where what was formerly confidence is now come into fear because he's been allowed to plant the seed of doubt in your mind. So in turn, your boldness gets weakened. And in turn now, as a result, fear takes over your body. So the bodily functions take place sometimes whereby a person is possessed with the spirit of fear. So in turn, they may have a bowel movement at a moment's notice, or they may piss themselves. As we go into the book of the patriarchs, the lost patriarchs, or the lost writings of the patriarchs, that they keep on referring to them as the lost books, but the testaments of the patriarchs, where one of the brothers talks about how when they were going to beat Joseph, they had intentions on killing him, but Joseph ran behind him and started crying out and pleading to his brothers. But it scared him so much so that he unleashed and loosed all his vows. I'll get to that later on. But getting back here to King Dawid, standing tall before the giant, man that troubled all of Israel. And the man, the Philistine, the beast, He's pissed off because of Daweed's stature, because he was short, he was ruddy, and he was young, but yet he was of a comely appearance. So you imagine that somebody, let's say Mike Tyson. We'll take a Mike Tyson or whoever it is you can think of as far as a fighter may go. Big, brute, strong, maybe ugly, hard to look at, hard on the eyes, but then you send somebody out to fight him that they would call today by the world standards a pretty boy. He's small, he's not much in stature, but yet at the same time he's bold, he's skilled, he's got a skill set, and he's a man of war. But you look, this little dude, he ain't even got no scars on his face. What in the world? Man. But in turn, as the story goes on, we see that the battle intensifies. And the very one that had all of the boldness and the confidence, so he thought, ends up losing the boldness and the confidence as well as his head. This day will Yahweh deliver you into my hand. And this is Daweed talking. This day will Yahweh deliver you into my hand, and I'll smite you and take your head from you, and I'll give your carcass, and I will give the carcass of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is an Elohim in Israel. And all this assembly shall know that Yahweh saveth, not with sword or spear, for the battle is Yahweh's, and he'll give you into our hands. And it came to pass, when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet Daweed, Daweed hastened and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And Daweed put his hand in his bag, and he took thence a stone and slang it, and smote the Philistine in his forehead. And the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell onto his face to the earth. Cracked the man's skull, bust his head, give him a concussion, cerebral hemorrhage. So Daweed prevailed over the Philistine with the sling and with the stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him. But there was no sword in the hand of Daweed. Therefore Daweed ran and stood upon the Philistine, and took his sword, and drew it out of the sheath thereof, and slew him, and cut off his head thereof. And when the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they fled. And the men of Israel and of Yahudah rose and shouted, and they pursued the Philistines until they come to the valley and to the gates of Ekron. And they wounded the Philistines. And the Philistines fell down by the way of Sharim, even unto Gath and unto Ekron. And the children of Israel returned from chasing after the Philistines, and they spoiled their tents. And Daweed took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem, but he put his armor in his tent. See, look at that. So Yahweh will enable you all to do the same thing, no matter how seemingly insurmountable your adversaries appear to be in this lifetime. Almighty Yahweh is giving you the ability to go on off and fight, to conquer, and to overcome. Even if they kill you in this lifetime, you still get the victory over them, because the most they've done, destroyed your body. Haven't stolen your soul, they haven't stifled your chance at salvation, but in turn the most they could do is to destroy your body. We read before on the 7 Maccabees, the brothers, the Maccabees, how each and every one of them was willing to sacrifice their bodies, even unto the death, for sake of remaining loyal and faithful in Almighty Yahweh. So even if they kill you in this lifetime, it's the most they can do. You still get the victory, because in the day of judgment, they had to stand and give an account for every evil, wicked deed in which they've done in this lifetime, including that which they've done to the bodies that they've martyred of the righteous. The King Daweed went forth in the power of Almighty Yahweh. You go out to fight a man, armed with a sword, a spear, and other weapons. You take 5 smooth stones, and you sling one of them. And you crack the man's skull, bring the man down to his face. Then you take his sword, you cut off his head, and in turn you strengthen the nation. And it's interesting how you see that same parallel play out throughout history. Even here in the United States, in many instances, there were some terrible times on the shores of the United States of America. But in many instances, some of the most tremendous changes were brought about as a result of the youth getting upset, getting fed up, getting frustrated, getting pissed off. And we ain't taking this. No, this is it. It's all going to stop. You go back, you look at the 60s, you look at those images from the 1950s and the 60s, and babies that were going to jail, protesting. They wanted fair rights, they wanted to go to school, they wanted to learn, they wanted adequate drinking water, they wanted so many different things. Parents in many instances have become complacent. Spirit of fear. They set it in place and they were just complacent and they compromised. The babies, no, this gonna stop. No. They started going to jail. And then the others, the more aggressive ones out of the babies, the more aggressive young people, they started fighting back. They started taking it to the police. They started forming gun clubs and things of that nature. And it brought about change to a degree. But the ultimate change is going to come about by a man of David's seed, a man who's going to stand up on a global scale. And just as David slew Goliath and put to flight all of the Philistines, this is one man that the whole world hates and despises, and setting up wars and setting up camps and setting up armies on the ground as well as in the space to fight this man upon his arrival. But this man, just as David wounded the head of Goliath, the book of Tehillim talks about this man from David's lineage who, and I quote, shall wound the heads of many countries. The world hates Yahshua HaMashiach, but he's coming back just as David did to Goliath. He's going to take the heads. He's going to take the positions of authority. He's going to crush the nations. Put them all to flight. And David took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem, but he put his arm in his tent. And when Shaul saw David go forth against the Philistine, he says unto Abner, the son of the captain of the host, Abner, whose son is this youth? And Abner said, as your soul liveth, O king, I cannot tell. And the king said, inquire whose son the strapling is. And as David returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, Abner took him and brought him before Shaul with the head of the Philistine in his hand. And that's serious. You done brought the whole nation peace. They catch you fresh out the battle. You ain't even really got time to regroup yet. You had enough time to go put the armor away in the tent as a souvenir, and then you got the head of the Philistine still in your hand. Like, come here. The king want to talk to you. It's equivalent to somebody going on off today in the same scenario and being hauled away to the White House or being hauled away to the Queen of England or to see Prince Charles. Come. They heard about what you did. They want to talk to you. So he got to go now before the king. But he's got the head of the Philistine still in his hand. And we go on a little bit further on here into this 18th chapter. We see in 18:6, and it says, and it came to pass that as they came, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, that the women came out of all the cities of Israel, singing and dancing, to meet King Shaul with tabrets, with joy, and with instruments of music. And the women answered one another as they played and said, Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000. And Saul was very wroth, and the saying displeased him. And he said, you've ascribed unto David 10,000, and to me they've ascribed but thousands. What can he have more but the kingdom? And Shaul eyed David from that day and forward. So that's where the hatred set in, sure enough. And you see that type of thing go on today, where you see older men or older women despise younger men and younger women coming behind them because of their ability to do certain things that they either no longer can do or were not in a position to do in their youth. So rather than encourage them, push them to go on further than what you were able to, they want to stifle it. They want to crush their ability. They want to crush their confidence. They want to kill it before it can even grow and blossom to whatever Almighty Yahweh wills it to be. Why? Because of the spirit of jealousy. But things like that, those types of spirits, they not only wreak havoc on the body of the individual that's possessed by them, but if not confronted and rebuked, they'll wreak havoc on a household. They'll wreak havoc on a community. That type of spirit will wreak havoc on a congregation. That type of spirit will wreak havoc on a nation if the spirit of jealousy is left unchecked. Because it'll go on, it'll spill on over into so many other things. As Louis Farrakhan once said, envy is the mother of murder. And it makes perfect sense when you really dissect it and take those statements for what it's worth. Usually, that envy is a result of a desire to possess something that somebody else has or to be something that somebody else is. And the murder comes in with the realization that I can't possess that skill, no matter how much I hate him, or no matter how much I despise her. I can't take possession of her talent or her gift, or I can't be him or assert him in his position. So next thing, since you can't assume it, You can't control it. The next best thing, that which you can't control, most people, they opt to destroy it. Whether it be physical, or whether it be a character assassination, or whether it be a combination of physical murder, character assassination, as well as to stifle the spirit of the individual. And you see these same things prevalent today. I don't know why it is that so many people just have to be possessed by the spirit of competition. You see people, and usually it's that spirit of competition. It usually comes from sports arena, and it just spills over into other aspects of a person's life. But one of the more interesting things about the spirit of competition, when you look at it and the people that are possessed by it, it's usually driven by a deep-seated sense of inferiority. No matter how great or well off a person may be doing, that spirit of competition is driven by this feeling of loneliness, this feeling of worthlessness, this feeling of inferiority. And in order to lift themselves up, they always got to find somebody to juxtapose themselves to, and they always have to clash with them for sake of superiority. Oh, I did this better than you. I'm the best at this. I did that. I'm the greatest at this. Can't nobody do this better than me. But a lot of times, the people that are possessed by the spirit of competition, they so overwrought by the spirit of competition, they don't even so much as truly engage in real competition. They'll shape subtly the landscape under which the competition is taking place. They'll usually do it in realms whereby they've had plenty of time to prepare or to master a certain skill. You see people, they're going off, they'll compete with you in realms where they're great. They'll compete with you in realms of sports, but yet they won't sit down and compete with you in regards to things like living according to the Torah. You want to compete with somebody, do that. Don't compete with your brother for sake of the Torah or just being in competition. You got enough competition just trying to save your soul. As you trying to save it, Shaitan is trying to destroy it. So that's the only competition that anybody in Israel really should be competing. The salvation of your soul. Shaitan give you enough competition right there, just trying to keep your soul out of the flames. It's enough to do battle with him. But then you got to turn around and strive with your brother as well, because your brother's feeling low about himself. He feel piss poor internally. So the most he can do is put on these external displays of his strength or his prowess or his knowledge or his expertise or whatever it is that he feels as though he's a master in. But you notice they never delve off or go off into realms wherein they don't have a great deal of expertise to really assert your superiority. That's how you really want to show off how great you are. Go on off and compete with somebody in something that you ain't got no knowledge of, and see how dominant you can be in that. Sit back, you'll see people. That's equivalent to a person, say, let's find something. We'll say weightlifting. Person sit back, they may have devoted years of their life to bodybuilding, but then they're going off to, they'll see somebody else of smaller build, somebody younger, smaller in stature, just simply lifting some small weights. But then they got to come on over now. They got to assert and let you know how much they bench press. No, you didn't do that. No, you've had plenty of time to prepare and to master that. What sense does it make for you to compete with somebody that's not even so much as in the competition, just to make yourself feel better? Only to in turn have your momentary sense of superiority deflated later on. Pointless. But this is what Shaul went through with King David. He started to hate the young man because the people of Israel, they were happy as a result of the mighty work that the young man did. You went on off, you slew, as the women said, you slew your thousands, but yet at the same time, you weren't filled with this spirit of confidence. You weren't filled with the Ruach of Almighty Yahweh to go forth and slay this one particular Philistine that plagued the whole nation as well as plagued your entire army. But now this one young man rises up out of the shadows, if you will, and does that which nobody else in Israel could do. So now the spirit of hatred sets in, and you eye the man. And notice the choice of words, though, as Shaul says. And we go back to this 8th verse. And Shaul was very wroth, and the saying displeased him. And he said, they've ascribed unto David 10,000s, and to me they've ascribed but thousands. And what can he have more but the kingdom? Notice the choice of words. And what can he have more but the kingdom? That's what the man was going to get anyway. That's why the man was anointed by Shaul, just for that purpose, to come on in as the spirit of Yahweh left from you and the evil spirit of Yahweh entered into you. The man was being groomed and prepared to be your replacement, to have the kingdom. So the question you asked, being smart, was ultimately the man's purpose anyway. And what more shall he have but the kingdom? Yeah, and in turn he got it. But before he could possess it, the spirit of jealousy took hold of Shaul, and he tried to kill him on numerous occasions. Let's go on a little bit further. And it came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit from Yahweh came upon Shaul, and he prophesied in the midst of the house, and David played with his hand, as at other times. And there was a javelin in Shaul's hand. And Shaul cast the javelin, for he said, I'll smite David, even to the wall with it. So now, Spirit of Yahweh departs from you, the evil spirit taking hold of you. You going around in the house, prophesying. So in turn, you trouble. But yet the man's plan is your musician. You asked for him. You asked to have him under your wing. So in turn, now as the man is playing the music, try to soothe your soul, spirit in you, I'm going to kill him right now. I'm going to nail him to the wall. So in turn, you that possessed with hatred. And Shaul cast the javelin, for he said, I'll smite David even to the wall with it. And David avoided out of his presence twice. And Shaul was afraid of David because Yahweh was with him, and was departed from Shaul. Therefore Shaul removed from him, and made him his captain over 1,000. And he went out and came in before the people. And David behaved himself wisely in all his ways, and Yahweh was with him. Wherefore when Shaul saw that he behaved himself very wisely, he was afraid of him. But all of Israel and Yehudah loved David, because he went out and came in before them. He was a man of the people. And Shaul was fearful of him because he knew the level of hatred that he had in his heart for him. But yet the simple fact that the young man behaved himself wisely before. See, that's how people have to behave today. Yahshua told us to be wise as serpents, but harmless as doves. Sometimes you have to be well aware of a person's intentions towards you, as well as the malice that they have in their hearts before you. You don't necessarily have to act on it. Oh, you hate me? Okay, you want to kill me? Nigga, I'll kill you first. No, not called for. You use some discretion. Some battles don't require you moving in the physical. Some battles require you going into your secret chambers, lifting up a prayer against an individual, crying out unto Almighty Yahweh concerning the situation, and still enacting the Torah in your relationship with the individual, so as to keep your hands free from all manner of wickedness, so that when Almighty Yahweh strikes and moves against the individual on your behalf, you're fully justified for what you prayed, as you continue to extend kindness and love unto a person. And as they turn around and display hatred and animosity towards you, in turn, when Yahweh moves, you are fully justified, and you get to see the reward of your enemies. Let's go on down here a little bit further. And Shaul, in the 17th verse now, and Shaul said to David, Behold, my eldest daughter, Merab, her I will give you to wife. Only be thou valiant for me, and fight Yahweh's battles. For Shaul said, Let not my hand be upon him, but let the hand of the Philistines be upon him. So now you're going to set the man, well, I ain't going to kill him, but I'll get him in my army. I'll give him my daughter, and I'll enlist him in the ranks of my military, and I'll send him out to battle. And then he'll get killed that way. Yes, I ain't even got to do it. Since he done avoided me, he done got out of my hands twice. I tried to kill him twice, and he avoided both attempts. I'll get him killed. And David said unto Shaul, Who am I? And what is my life or my father's family in Israel, that I should be son-in-law to the king? But it came to pass at the time when Merab, Shaul's daughter, should have been given to David, that she was given unto Adriel, the Melothite, to be his wife. And Michal, Shaul's daughter, she loved David. And they told Shaul, and the thing pleased him. And Shaul said, I will give him her, that she may be a snare to him, that the hand of the Philistines may be against him. Wherefore Shaul said to David, Thou shalt this day be my son-in-law, in one of the twain. So that way I'm going to get you one way or the other. You're going to marry one of the two of them. You're going to be my son-in-law. And Shaul commanded his servants, saying, Commune with David secretly, and say, Behold, the king has delight in you, and all his servants love you. Now therefore be the king's son-in-law. And Shaul's servants spoke these words in the ears of David. And David says, Seemeth it to you a light thing to be a king's son-in-law, seeing that I'm a poor man and lightly esteemed? And the servants of Shaul told him, saying, On this manner spoke Dawid. So in other words, they took the man's words back. The man, he wasn't even so much as pressed or overwhelmed by the position, but more so, he was wondering who was he? What made him so important to even be considered for such a position? But the whole time, the man trying to plot his death. And Shaul said, thus shall you say to Dawid, the king desires not any dowry, but 100 foreskins of the Philistines to be avenged of the king's enemies. But Shaul thought to make Dawid fall by the hand of the Philistines. So that was, no, you ain't got to pay me for my daughters. You don't have to pay any dowry to marry them. No, you can have her, but all I require is the foreskins of 100 Philistines. So you think you gonna get the man killed? You think, all right, he go out there, he might get a few of them, but eventually somebody gonna get with him and they gonna kill him. Eventually, he ain't gonna get all 100 of them. He ain't gonna do it. Somebody gonna kill him before he can get all 100 foreskins. And when the servants told Dawid these words, it pleased Dawid well to be the king's son-in-law, and the days were not expired. Wherefore Dawid arose and went, he and his men, and they slew of the Philistines 200 men. And Dawid brought their foreskins, and they gave them in full tale to the king, that he might be the king's son-in-law. And Shaul gave him Michal, his daughter, the wife. And Shaul saw and knew that Yahweh was with Dawid, and that Michal, Shaul's daughter, loved him. And Shaul was yet more afraid of Dawid. And Shaul became Dawid's enemy continually. Then the princes of the Philistines went forth, and it came to pass that after they went forth, that Dawid behaved himself more wisely than all the servants of Shaul, so that his name was much set by. Scripture tells you that a good name is worth more than precious ointment. And this is what made Shaul hate Dawid. The fact that not only did he outdo you, he outsmarted you in your attempts to kill him, personally yourself, but he also got around your attempt to have him killed by the Philistines. And he went and accomplished the greater task than what you sent him out to do. You told him to go out and get 100 foreskins. Him and his army, they bring you back 2 and made it out alive. So as a result of that, and Yahweh being with the man, Shaul hated the man even more. And that's how people do you today. When people possessed by the spirit of competition, spirit of envy, spirit of hatred, or anything of that nature, when people look up and realize that Almighty Yahweh is dealing with you as much as they hate you and as much as they despise you, people will look up and still harbor that hatred towards you because Almighty Yahweh is with you as opposed to them, and will try in every way, shape, or form to destroy you on all fronts. But the wonderful thing about it all is you strive to continually keep Almighty Yahweh's commandments. Yahweh won't even give you over unto the wicked or unto their devices. So many times we see in Israel's history where people have risen up against the righteous for no reason at all. And Yahweh delivered the righteous out of all their tribulations, out of all their trials. Now what I want to do, Israel, I want to enter into the record some of the works of our fathers and mothers, the patriarchs of old. I want to go momentarily into what they call the forgotten books of Adam and Eve, momentarily, to talk about how Hashatan talked about the sons of Adam and how he would make continual war with the seed of Adam, because Shaitan knew that his heavenly abode would one day come to be occupied by the seed of Adam and Hawa, and how he says he will fight to make sure that they never got to abide in his former abode. Then we'll go in here to the forgotten books of Adam and Eve, the first book. And here I'm going into chapter 46 momentarily. Bear with me, everybody. Give me 1 second. And Yahweh says unto Adam, you see Satan's love for you, who pretended to give you the majesty of Yahweh and greatness, and behold, he burns you with fire, and he seeks to destroy you from off the earth. But then look at me, O Adam. I created you, and how many times have I delivered you out of his hand? If not, would he not have destroyed you? And Yahweh says again unto Eve, And what is that he promised you in the garden, saying that at the time you shall eat of the tree, your eyes will be open, and you shall become like Elohim, knowing Ra and Tub. In other words, evil and good. But lo, he has burnt your bodies with fire, and he has made you taste the taste of fire. For the taste of the garden, and has made you also see the burning of fire, and the evil thereof, and the power that it has over you. Your eyes have seen the good, and he's taken it from you. And in truth, he has opened your eyes, and you've seen the garden in which you were with me. And you also have seen the evil that has come upon you from Shaitan. But as to the majesty that he promised you, he can't give it to you, and neither can he fulfill his speech to you. But nay, he was bitter against you and your seed that will come after you. So in turn, it was all a psychological mind game. Hashatan, he spoke some smooth words, made some slick promises. Sort of like the politicians today during election season. Just prior to the election, they come on along, they catch you at the most vulnerable point, they catch you, everything's going okay in life for you at the moment, but then they come along and they convince you that they themselves can do better by you. They can do right by you. They can make things better and improve your condition. They speak those smooth words. They show up at all them places that you usually don't see them no other time of the year. They come out, they shake the hands, they hug the old men and the old women, they kiss the baby, they show up at the schools. They might come on along, they might sit down, eat some chicken with you here, this little cookout momentarily, long enough to get you to the polls, but then they don't carry out any of the promises they made. They don't execute a thing that they told you on the campaign trail. Get what they want from you, which is your vote in their favor, and then they go on down the road, just like Hashatan. But in turn, they get in those offices and they write those laws that are directly against you, that alter your quality of life and that make your quality of life more difficult to live with each passing election, just like Hashatan. Make them promises, deceive you, beguile you, and then in turn, let loose a flurry of insults as well as assaults on you and your children after you. But then we go on further here in the same book, Adam and Eve, but the next chapter, 47, where we see Hashatan himself now talking. It says, but Shaitan, the hater of all, especially all good, thought within himself, whereas Yahweh has promised salvation to Adam by a covenant, and that he would deliver him out of all of the hardships that had befallen him. But it's not promised me by a covenant, and will not deliver me out of my hardships. Nay, whenever nah. Since he has promised him that he should make him and the seed dwell in the land of the heavens, or the kingdom, which I once was, I'll kill Adam. So in other words, now he done made a promise to him. He gonna deliver him. He made a covenant with him, and he gonna save him from all of his hardships, but he ain't gonna save me from my hardships. He ain't gonna deliver me, but he gonna save him and his seed, and he gonna give them the kingdom that I once occupied. Oh hell no. I'll kill Adam. Spirit of hatred rose up in Hashatan, and in turn, that same spirit today grabs hold of men and women, boys and girls, and takes them captive at his will. And this is why people fight against you so much. When you come to the knowledge of the truth, when you begin to tell people about Yahweh's name, Yeshua's name, and the Torah, this is why people fight against you, people who you thought were lifelong friends and allies. It's not so much you personally. No, it's what you're standing for now. It's what you're declaring now that makes the people rise up against you. And it's not even them themselves in the flesh rising up against you, but it's the spirit within them as they are possessed by Hashatan. And you trying to be filled with the Ruach HaKodesh. So it's only right they come up and fight against you. They have to fight against you. That's all they can do. And their ultimate goal and objective is, since they can't destroy Almighty Yahweh, the next best thing is destroy as many of his seed as they can get their hands on before the end of this age. So then Shaitan goes on further, says the earth shall be rid of and shall be left to me alone, so that when he is dead, he may not have any seed left to inherit the kingdom that shall remain my own realm. Yahweh will then be in want of me, and he will restore me to it with my host. See how twisted the mind of Shaitan is? Now you're in the heavens. You started the fight. You lying and accusing the brethren falsely of things day and night that they haven't done. You starting war and chaos and animosity in Hashemayim. Mikael and his angels got to stand up and they got to do battle with you and cast you and your host out of the heavens and throw you down to the earth. So in turn, you so overwrought with the spirit of hatred, spirit of jealousy, spirit of envy, and you so deluded in the mind, you create this false sense of reality for yourself. Well, I'll kill Adam because Almighty Yahweh made a covenant with him and his seed and will deliver them. Nah, they ain't gonna deliver me. Nah, I'll kill them. And in turn, once I kill him and his seed, Yahweh gonna be in need of me. He gonna need me back up there. It's gonna be a void up there. It's gonna be empty. So in turn, once I kill all them, he gonna have to come and get us. We gonna have to go back. That's how the spirit of Shaitan deludes people's minds today. Or else, if that wasn't the case, Yahshua would have never told you in Yachanan or the book of John, chapter 16, that the time will come that when he either kill you and think he doeth Yahweh's service. That's a twisted mindset. You gonna kill somebody striving for righteousness, but you think you're doing Almighty Yahweh's will. That's sad, but that's part of the spiritual wickedness that you have to deal with down here in the Hashemayim, or down here in the earth below the Hashemayim. But let's go on a little bit further. We'll talk about some of these bodily conditions that emerge as a result of spiritual wickedness in these low places. Let's go in here into the testament of Reuben momentarily. Now, as we all know, the story of Reuben going into taking his father's wife, doing what he did that was displeasing in the eyes of Almighty Yahweh. Reuben, prior to dying, just as the other 11 patriarchs prior to dying, sat down and gathered their children and their grandchildren around before they passed. And they gave them sound instructions, they gave them wisdom, and they opened up unto them things about their own lives that they did, showed them their errors, and they basically made themselves transparent and open books before their children, and gave them instructions on what to do and what not to do, as well as prophesied unto all of them. Let's hear what Reuben has to say here concerning his life and concerning the spiritual condition and the physical ramifications of what he did. 2 years after the death of Joseph, his brother, when Reuben had fell ill, his sons and his sons' sons were gathered together to visit. So he got his children and his grandchildren coming to see him now. He's ill, he's sick. Their uncle, Joseph, just passed 2 years prior. And he says unto them, my children, behold, I'm dying, and I go the way of my fathers. And seeing there Yehuda and Gad and Asher, his brethren, he says unto them, raise me up that I may tell my brethren, and to have my children say unto them what things I've hidden in my heart. For behold, now at length I'm passing away. So in other words, come here. Hey, lift me up, set me up, raise me up. I want to talk to them. I got some things I need to say to them. And he arose and he kissed them, and he says unto him, hear my brethren, and do ye my children give ear to Reuben your father in the commands which I give unto you. And behold, I call to witness against you this day, the Elohim of Hashemayim, or Elohim of heaven, that you walk not in the sins of youth and fornication, wherein I was poured out, and defiled the bed of my father Jacob. And I tell you that he smote me with a sore plague in my loins for 7 months. And had not my father Jacob prayed for me to Yahweh, Yahweh would have destroyed me. See, he went on off and he committed an act of wickedness that was so displeasing toward Almighty Yahweh, the same bodily instrument with which he used to commit the act of wickedness was the tool whereby Yahweh sought fit to give the punishment unto him. He went on off and he fornicated in a manner in which he shouldn't have, so Almighty Yahweh struck him in his loins. Today, things like that plague the communities of the world today in the form of sexually transmitted diseases, infections, herpes, gonorrhea, AIDS, and so many other things. Reuben talking to his children, letting them know the spiritual ramification as well as the physical impact of what he did. And had not my father Jacob prayed for me to Yahweh, Yahweh would have destroyed me. For I was 30 years old when I wrought the evil thing before Yahweh. And for 7 months I was sick unto death. And after this I repented with a set purpose of my soul for 7 years before Yahweh. And wine and strong drink I drank not, and my flesh entered not into my mouth. And I ate no pleasant food, but I mourned over my sin, for it was great, such as had not been in Israel. And that's it. You commit a sin Prior to you doing it, it's unprecedented. Nothing like it had been done in the nation prior to this particular act. And Almighty Yahweh punishes you for it. And the very man against whom you transgress has to turn around and make intercession for you and cry out unto Almighty Yahweh on your behalf. Scripture tells you in the book of Proverbs as well concerning those men, fornication and wickedness, and talks about the time frame where a dart would strike one through the liver. I ain't gonna go into it right now, but we'll just say that that particular medical industry, that aspect of the medical industry is boom. It's big business. People going on off to fornicate, they don't use the protection or what have you, so in turn they get plagued by those different illnesses and they gotta go run on off and dispense their wealth just for the sake of trying to restore their health. But we're gonna move on. We're gonna jump down a little bit. We're gonna go into the Testament of Simeon, and I'm gonna soon be done. Simeon goes on even further. He talks about another emotion and some other things in which he did. How it also impacted him, different from Reuben's. And when Simeon was sick, his sons came to visit him, and he strengthened himself and sat up, and he kissed him, and he said, "Hearken, my children, to Simeon, your father, and I'll declare unto you what things that I have in my heart. For I was born of Jacob as my father's second son, and my mother Leah called me Simeon, because Yahweh has heard her prayer. Moreover, I became strong exceedingly. I shrank from no achievement, nor was I afraid of anything." So, I bulked up. I got some might. I got some power to me. I wasn't no sloucher, no punk by a long shot. I wasn't afraid of anything. Whatever challenge rose up, I rose to the occasion to face. For my heart was hard, and my liver was immovable, and my bowels without compassion. He was a tough man now, but that tough, hard exterior had gotten so out of hand, so much so it began to take an impact on his interior. Because valor also has been given from the Most High to men in soul and body. For in the time of my youth, I was jealous in many things of Joseph, my brother, because my father loved him beyond all. And I set my mind against him to destroy him, because the prince of deceit set forth the spirit of jealousy and blinded my mind, so that I regarded him not as a brother, and nor did I spare even Jacob, my father. See how serious the spirit of envy is? You make the spirit of envy come into a man and make you so much as not even to regard your brother as who he is. But the spirit of envy take hold of you so much so you desire to kill the man and destroy it. And the saddest part is, Joseph was baby at the time. He was much younger than Simeon. He was much younger than the rest of his brothers. But they all hated him that much. You see that same spirit today, still prevalent in men and women today, especially when their golden years are past. When they get to that point wherein they near the age of retirement, where they near those 60s and 70s and those good old days when they were attractive and they were hot and they were something to look at and they were to be had in their mind. Those days pass and they realize now the error of their ways, and they see younger people coming up behind them, not indulging in the same levels and degrees of wickedness that they indulged in when they were that particular age. Spirit of jealousy sets in, spirit of hatred sets in, to where rather than lift up, their goal is to tear down. And as we go on further, we see Simeon expounding upon this spirit of jealousy even more. And I regarded him not as a brother, nor did I spare even Jacob my father, but as Elohim, and the Elohim of his fathers, sent forth his angel and delivered him out of my hands. For when I went to Shechem to bring ointment for the flocks, and Reuben to Dothan, we were our necessaries and all of our stores. Yehudah, my brother, sold them to the Ishmaelites. And when Reuben heard these things, he was grieved, for he wished to restore him to his father. But on hearing this, I was exceedingly angry with Yehudah, and that he let him go away alive. And for 5 months, I continued wrathful against him. And imagine that. You intent on killing your brother. Another brother comes along, your oldest brother, he wants to give him back. Come on, y'all. No. All right, let's take him back to daddy. But then the third brother comes up. No. We ain't going to kill him. He ain't going back to daddy neither. But what we going to do, we going to sell him. We're going to get paid. We're going to get some bread. We're going to get them ducats. Yeah, we're going to get the moolah. We can put him up for sale. And that's serious. And Simeon says he was pissed off. He's angry. He's mad at Yehuda for what you gonna sell him for? But on hearing this, I was exceedingly wroth against Yehuda in that he had let him go away alive. And for 5 months I continued wrathful against him. But Yahweh restrained me and withheld from me the power of my hands. For my right hand was half withered for 7 days. If you imagine that, you hate your brother so much so you want to just kill him. And Almighty Yahweh strike the very instrument of your body that you probably would have used to commit the murder. Yahweh allow your hand to wither away into decay. 7 days. See, spiritual wickedness in low places, beneath the heavens now, beneath the Hashemayim, beneath the positions of authority, and beneath the positions of rulership, but now in the lower realms of the world and society on the whole. Now Almighty Yahweh is striking at the individuals as well as the works of their bodies, and striking at the very instruments that they would use to carry out these evil acts of wickedness. See, ain't nothing good about evil. Ain't nothing good about disobeying Almighty Yahweh. And though it has its spiritual ramifications and starts off in the spiritual realm, it always manifests itself on the physical. And usually, that's when the people who are carnal-minded get to see it. But those that are in the spiritual, they see it manifesting long before it even takes place in the physical. But those that aren't spiritual, they get to see it later on, after the judgment, after the destruction is hit. Oh, wow, oh, man, damn, what in the world he do? So it ain't like he just did this. No, this was a long time coming. You just seeing it, but those in the spiritual, they saw it all along. They saw the spirit. They saw the change in the person's behavior and mannerisms. They saw the decay in the person's body and everything that was going on as the spirit was taking over the vessel and transforming it. And then as the judgment hit and the punishment hit, then everybody got to see it in the plain physical form then. And I knew, my children, that because of Joseph, this had befallen me, and I repented, and I wept, and I besought Yahweh that my hand might be restored, and that I might hold aloof from all pollution and envy, and from all folly. For I knew that I had devised an evil thing before Yahweh, and Jacob my father, on the account of Joseph my brother, and that I envied him. And now, my children, hearken unto me, and beware of the spirit of deceit and envy. For envy rules over the whole mind of a man, and suffers him neither to eat, nor to drink, nor to do any good thing. But it even suggests to him to destroy him that he envies. And so long as he that is envied flourishes, he that envies fades away. See how the spirit of envy takes a hold of a person, and it'll drive you crazy, it'll drive you out of your mind, but yet simultaneously it'll deteriorate your body, and so much so you're so overwhelmed with the spirit of envy for this person. As long as the person you envy, they alive and well, they flourish, and Almighty Yahweh is with them. But you being harbored and possessed with the spirit of envy, you're going through a gradual decay that those around you might not even be seeing it as it unfolds, but the one that's being full of envy, they well aware of it, and not even so much as paying it any mind, because the spirit of envy is strengthening them until the point that it destroys that body and can do nothing else with it, and then it jumps onto a whole nother vessel. And 2 years thereafter, I afflicted my soul with fasting and the fear of Yahweh, and I learned that deliverance from envy comes by the fear of Yahweh. You ain't going to no psychiatrist, you ain't going to no psychologist, you ain't going to no shrink. There's no doctor that's going to prescribe a prescription to suppress this thing. But these evil spirits, deliverance from them, only come by way of Almighty Yahweh. For if a man flees to Yahweh, the evil spirit runs away. The book of Jacob tells you plainly to resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Simeon says the exact same thing, but in different words. For if a man flee to Yahweh, the evil spirit runs away from him, and his mind is lightened. See, sin is heavy. Sin will weigh you down. No matter what the sin is, it will take a toll on your body. And you can always tell the more sinful people, because the more sinful people, they usually look older than what they actually are. They're usually plagued by things that, especially if they're young, they're usually plagued by aches and ailments and illnesses and pains that many of their elders don't even suffer from. You sit back now, you see more and more young men in their mid-20s, early 20s, mid-30s, more gray hair than their grandparents in some instances. But you look at their lives, you see the grandparents lived one way, but the young men now with the gray hairs and everything, living all kinds of wicked lives, got all kinds of murders that they committed, all kinds of robberies that they were susceptible or subject to, as well as partakers of. They done wrecked all kinds of women's lives. They done abandoned children and so many other things. The weight of that stuff started taking a toll on them, so much so that the spirit started aging the body faster than the normal acceleration of aging, and the person just simply striving to live right. And henceforth, he sympathizes with them whom he envied, and forgives those who are hostile to him, and so ceases from his envy. And this is after a man is cleansed from the spirit of envy. You begin to wake up. You begin to come to the realization now that you were wrong in your envy of another person. And now you begin to make amends, and you begin to be forgiving of those who were once hostile towards you. But yet, we go on a little bit further. We see other patriarchs talking in regards to Joseph as well, and how they rose up and they had various levels of involvement in Joseph being sold, and how Almighty Yahweh struck at them also. And let's go on in here into the book of Dan, because Dan talks about his involvement and how the anger took over him also. And he says here in the book of Dan, chapter 1, he says, now my children, chapter 1, verse 10, and now my children, behold, I'm dying. And I tell you of a truth, that unless you keep yourselves from the spirit of lying and of anger, and you love truth and long suffering, you shall perish. For anger is blindness, and does not suffer one to see the face of any man with truth. For though it be a father or a mother, he behaves toward them as if they were enemies. And though it be his brother, he knows him not. And though it be a prophet of Yahweh, he disobeys him. And though a righteous man, he regards him not. And though a friend, he doesn't acknowledge him. For the spirit of anger encompasses him with the net of deceit, and blinds his eyes, and through lying darkens his mind, and gives him its own peculiar vision. See how pervasive the spirit of anger is? It will distort everything around you. It will distort and pervert your vision, your perception, your understanding. It will cause you to behave in ways in which you shouldn't, and it will ultimately, as the book says, it will give one its own peculiar vision. Your own peculiar vision, you get that false sense of reality to where you're wrong, you committing the wickedness, somebody rebukes you on it, calls you on the carpet about it, tells you about it, shows you where in Yahweh's word you're wrong. You spinning it around now, you make yourself be the victim, and they're wrong. You ever see those types of people where whenever they're involved in disputes, everybody else is always at fault? Everybody else is always wrong. You never see them take any accountability. You never see them say, well, you know what? I gotta admit, I did do that sister wrong. Or, yeah, you know what? You right. Yeah, I shouldn't even did that brother that way. You ever see those people that can never utter those words? Those people who can never say, I'm sorry. I apologize. Forgive me. I shouldn't have done that to you. I don't know what made me do that to you or what made me say that to you. I apologize. Forgive me. They never do it, but yet every time something happens and they're the center of conflict, oh no, he was this, she was that, they did this, they did that, this was wrong. Oh no, they didn't know what they were talking about. Oh, they crazy. Oh, they lying, they lunatic, they out there damn mind, they crazy. Everybody's just wrong but me. You see it in the physical, you hear it with your ears, you hear their words, you see their reactions, but it goes far beyond what you see with the natural eye. It's a spiritual condition driving, and the spirits that are within them are blinding them and perverting. It's like a person driving a car, but yet the passenger spray painting the windshield as you going down the road and taking the wheel and steering you in the direction that you don't need to be going in. Imagine you driving down the road, you on a highway, and now suddenly you know the direction in which you're going, but now the person just beside you, they suddenly take the wheel and they make you turn in the opposite direction and in the other lane. So now they playing around with the wheel, and you just, all right, hey, look, this is the way it's going to go. All right, up. You stomp on the gas. We're going in the wrong direction, but I'm going to go full force. Yeah, let's go. And then they distort the vision. They spray paint the windshield. They cover your eyes. They block you from being able to see, but they keep on guiding you in a destructive direction. That's what happens when individuals are possessed by evil, wicked spirits. And the ramifications of it manifest themselves on the physical by way of the afflictions that befall the body, different ailments and different illnesses, kidney failures, liver problems, all sorts of things, high blood pressure, hypertension, and then ultimately it spills on over into conditions like memory loss, dementia, and things of that nature. You got a lot of people losing their minds, going crazy, going out of their minds. But just listen to the condition. They're telling you what it is, even though the people who created the particular term don't believe in spirits and demons, but they tell dementia. Demons entered into you. Dementia. Demons have entered. And they've taken over their mind. You sit back and you get to talk with people, those in the medical profession who work with the elderly. They can tell you about some of those people. Once that dementia sets in, it can be little frail men and women. 85, 95 pounds. Weak as all outdoors in some instances. But when that spirit take hold of them, they can lift up staff members that are 245, 250 pounds as if they're this book I got in my hand and can fling them across the room if they choose to. And can go on days and days and just trouble the entire staff at the particular place where they're abiding in. And that ain't just the flesh. That's going beyond the flesh now. So different spirits grab hold of them bodies and utilize them for whatever it is that they want, for how long that they want. And when they're done with them, they cast them down and discard them. And the family members just looking at it on the natural. Oh man, what happened to granddaddy? Man, granddaddy lost a whole lot of weight. Man, granddaddy's sick, man. Oh, granddaddy look horrible. Yeah, granddaddy looks horrible because of the spirits that was in him. They had him do some horrible things. And as a result of him being susceptible to that nonsense, that's the result of it now. Yeah, he looks horrible. He knocked all his weight off of him. Them spirits sometimes like the person in a car. You get in the car and you drive fast for excessively long distances of time with the heat up or the AC on and the air conditioner on and the windows down and the music up loud and everything. Yeah, you'll burn up a lot of gas if you're going up the road at 85, 95, 100 miles an hour. Yeah, you're going to burn up some gas. And if you ain't had an oil change or anything of that nature and you driving recklessly, you're going to do a lot of damage to the internal structure of the car. And the human body is the exact same way when possessed by evil spirits. That's why you can look up sometimes and you can see sisters 20, 25 years old, looking like they're 45 and 50 years old. They done fornicated with so many different men. They done committed so many different heinous acts with their body. You can see the brothers. They done committed so many different murders. They done been a part of so many different robberies. They done committed so many different crimes. They done drank so much liquor. They done smoked so much weed. They done popped so many pills. They 22 years old, but they look 59 or 60. Them hard lives in which they live. And the scripture tells us that the way of a transgressor is hard. But this is what happens, the high and low places being occupied by spiritual wickedness. But what we want to do, we want to give our vessels over unto Almighty Yahweh. Now I'm going to conclude this message. I'll probably pick up on a later date and time, but I'm going to conclude this message on that note. Your vessels, give them over unto Almighty Yahweh. Let Almighty Yahweh take hold of your vessels. Pray and ask Almighty Yahweh to give you a mind to seek after his Ruach HaKodesh. Give you a mind to keep his Torah. And when he fills you with that Ruach HaKodesh, ask him the same thing that Dawid asked him. Take not that Holy Spirit or that Ruach HaKodesh from me. Because in these latter days, we all need that Holy Spirit. We all need that Ruach HaKodesh to save our souls. Because there's some wickedness that's in this world now. And the wickedness that's here now is only going to be amplified and multiplied as the days grow more and more wicked as we approach the coming of Yahshua HaMashiach. So we're going to need that Ruach HaKodesh to save our souls. House of Israel, let us stand. Abba Yahweh, we come unto you this evening, thanking you for everything in which you've allowed to take place on this incoming of the Shabbat. We thank you for bringing each and every one of us here safely over the roadways. We thank you for the lives of those that are not here with us physically, but are here with us by way of the live stream, as well as even the souls of those that are absent in the flesh with us. Father Yahweh, we ask that you please continually watch over us, lead us all to our homes and allow us to get there safely, free from all manners of hurt, harm, and danger. Bless each and every one of us with the 12th night of rest, Abba Yah. Allow us to be able to sleep and to sleep in great peace and to take comfort in your word and knowing that you are still on the throne and that you are coming back to save our souls, Abba Yah. We ask that on tomorrow you allow each and every one of us to arise, clothed in a right and proper frame of mind. Keep our minds focused and stayed on you, Abba Yahweh. And we ask that you curse, torment, trouble, and destroy each and every adversary of your people, Israel, and destroy as well as trouble all that would seek to disrupt and to disturb your service on tomorrow, Father Yahweh. We beg of you to please strengthen your people wheresoever they are all throughout the world. Your prophets, your messengers, your Nabaim, your ministers, your Levites, your deacons, and all that are of the household of faith, as well as even those that are newly converted. And we ask of your special prayer for those that do not know of this way of life right now, Abba Yah, but encounter your people and treat them kindly. We ask of you that in the day and the time in which you see fit, open the eyes of those who know not of your truth, but deal kindly with your people, so as to allow them to even be able to partake of this wonderful way of life to the salvation of their souls. Abba Yahweh, these blessings we ask of you ever so humbly. In the powerful, majestic, and Kodesh name of your Son, Yahshua the Messiah, we pray. Hallelujah, 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 Yahweh. Shabbat Shalom, House of Israel.